Good morning. I am out for my walk, and I was thinking about this idea really of how we shouldn't have preferences. That's a really popular idea among many spiritual paths. The idea that if we're transcending our ego, then we're also at the same time, shouldn't people who have, shouldn't be a person who has preferences. And I think that this perspective really robs us of our humanity. And here's why. See, when we often mistake the idea of preferences for attachment to those preferences. And what happens is when we're in the present moment and something comes up, it's easy to, on the spiritual path, to get lost and to feel like, well, if I don't have preferences, then I'm being present, and therefore I am enlightened, spiritual, I'm following my path. And the reality is actually quite the opposite. See, when we are present, what happens is we naturally find ourselves drawn to what we love, to what means something to us, to what brings us alive. And in this way, preferences actually become an expression of our unique divinity, the way that we are unique spiritual beings on this path, expressing ourselves in the world. One way of thinking about it is, I do love chocolate, and no, I'm not going to do a chocolate versus vanilla thing, even though I prefer chocolate over vanilla, and I have raw chocolate in my cereal. I have chocolate throughout the day. I love chocolate, right? And when I have chocolate, I feel present, I feel pleasure, I enjoy the moment. And it's easy to mistake the object of our preference, the chocolate, or the relationship, the car, the flavor, the food, the temperature of the water in our shower. It's easy to mistake these preferences as the things that give us the joy, give us the pleasure, but that's not really how preferences work. Really what's happening is when we are fully present, we feel into ourselves and see what we are drawn to, what brings us alive, what makes us feel connected, and we move towards that. In the morning with my breakfast cereal, I move towards that chocolate. It doesn't give me the pleasure. It's the pleasure is actually within me already, right? The pleasure, the joy, the happiness, these are all the qualities that they're already inside of you, okay? But when we feel present in the moment and we notice what we are drawn to, when we notice our preferences in the moment, it brings that part of us alive. It brings the happiness inside of us out and alive. It brings the joy, the presence, the delight, the pleasure. It brings all these qualities outside of us, or not outside of us, it just brings them up in us, right? So the next time when you're really noticing you have a preference, be present with that. Really take notice and figure out, is this a habit of mind? Am I just, attached to the pleasure of chocolate? Am I attached to the dopamine and the endorphins that get triggered when it's coming out of it? Or in this moment, am I actually feeling a draw to it? When you sit down to eat a meal, right, and you have a choice at a buffet, don't just automatically go for your favorite foods, okay? That's not a preference, okay? That's not what I'm talking about here. A preference is not a preconditioned idea about what we should or should not like. A preference, when we are truly present with it, is an in-the-moment draw towards that which makes us feel more alive. So next time you're at the buffet, choosing what you want to eat, choosing how much you want to eat, don't just automatically go for your favorite food. I don't just automatically go for chocolate when I'm at a restaurant and there's dessert there, right? I'm actually present, and sometimes I have creme brulee. Sometimes I have a little bit of ice cream. Sometimes I choose not to have dessert, right? There's so many opportunities for us to be present in our daily lives with our preferences, because when we are so in the moment with these preferences, they just allow us to express ourselves in unique, fun, delightful ways. They bring out our joy, our happiness, our delight, and people start to see that around us. And I think that's an important thing to really understand, is the idea of not having preferences is really no more enlightened than being an amoeba, right? It is an attachment to a spiritual idea an old school way of looking at preferences to a spiritual idea that we think we're going to transcend the ego, and that's just not how preferences are. When we are present, our preferences, I'm just not even able to speak today, and that's okay, because I'm being present with you. I'm not trying to be perfect. The ego would love to have me, speak perfectly every time I'm on a morning walk, but that's not how it works, right? So today, I am fumbling all over my words at the end of this between preferences and presence and all these other words. So I'm just going to stop here and be present with you for a minute and enjoy this beautiful view and enjoy the place where I am and the walk that I've been taking with you, because I am enjoying this moment with you. And I'm grateful to share this opportunity of how we can be present with our preferences in a way that works, right? In a way that brings us more alive. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I hope you're having a fantastic morning, fantastic day if you're watching this later. And thank you for being with me on this morning walk. I am enjoying this with you. Thank you.